This is the story of a man who worked hard all his life. Every day from morning to evening, he would only think about his work and career. He worked hard in the hope that one day his hard work would pay off. But one day, his luck kicked in his backyard and he died on the way for no particular reason. But his luck never turned. After his death, he suddenly collapsed and he is reborn with his new powers in a new world. There are many difficulties in his life, but he faces them all. Now, you have to listen to this entire kahani to know what turn her life takes next. So you have to see that. Because this is also one of the best stories. In the beginning of the episode, we see that a man was going to meet some of his clients. There was only work going on in his mind, and his meetings are also very successful, and he was convinced that now he is going to get a promotion. But fate had something else in store. At the same time, a criminal, who had stolen a gun from the police, was on the run in the middle of the city. Upon chasing the police, he fired the gun and the bullet went straight into the man's chest. He died right there. All his dreams were coming true. But the story doesn't end here. After he dies, he hears a voice. That voice says that he is now going to be reborn in a new world, where there will be magic and monsters. On hearing this, he opens his eyes and finds himself in a different world. And then he sees a huge dragon flying in the sky above, which he is surprised to see. Then the same voice sounds again and tells him that by saying status open, he can get information about his new life. Now he speaks the same, and his name, age and skills appear on the screen. In this new world, his name is Louis Sell, and he is a healer. But he doesn't know how to use his power. He then leaves for the city, where everyone is showing the entry fee and ID to the guards. Then, when it's Louis' turn, he makes an excuse about his identity that he has come from a small village and is looking for work here to prove his healer skills. The guards are suspicious, but then a girl comes to Lumina and asks if she is really a healer. Louise answers yes, and then she takes him with her. That's when, after bumping into a man on the way, Louis apologizes and explains that he's in a hurry to get into the Healers Guild. At this, the man says that if he becomes a corrupt healer, he will be punished. Louis smiles and says that he intends to be a good healer. After this, both of them reach the guild, and Louis is very happy to see this. A girl asks Louise to fill out a form, but he did not understand the letters there, but suddenly, the letters are translated in front of him, and now he understood them. The girl then holds up a card to Louise and asks her to transfer her magic. After that, his name will appear on the card. Seeing this, Lumina starts leaving from there. But then Louise stops him and says that she does not know how to use healing magic because she is the first healer in their village. On which she gives him some options to learn healing magic, and now he has many options how to learn healing magic. First, Spartan training, in which he will have to study day and night, study in a magic school by taking a second lawn, learn the work by becoming a student of a third, a qualified healer. Of these, Louis chooses the Spartan way of training. After this, the girl from the Healers Guild comes and tells Louis that her name is Kuru, and now she'll show him his room. Louis then goes to his room where he finds a spell book and starts reading it, where he realizes that his magic will be as good as he can imagine it in his mind. From the next day, he starts training his magic through the spell book. Initially, he fails repeatedly, but gradually his efforts begin to bear fruit. His hard work starts to bring color, but soon his strength is lost. A few days later, a girl, Monica, brings him food, and she is charmed by his beauty, but he takes care of himself. Monica then reveals that Lumina has arranged a 10-day room rent for her so that she can train without any worries. Knowing this, Luis realizes that Lumina is a powerful and powerful child. Monica then reveals that she is the captain of the church's new female regiment. Then Louis walks out one day to practice their magic. On the way, he meets the same man he had met earlier. Just then, many of the man's friends arrive injured, and he's trying to help people. The first time his magic fails, but the second time he heals with focus and succeeds. Then just like that, when he goes to heal the last injured man, his magic power is lost, and he faints. At night, he becomes depressed and thinks that he could not heal a man. That's when he decides that now he has to make himself stronger. And to level up, he has to go to the Adventure Guild and gather experience. The next day, LaSalle goes inside the Adventure Guild, which he is surprised to see. And the place is huge and beautiful. LaSalle goes to the counter and talks about registering himself to become an adventurer. The girl standing there, whose name is Lena, greets him and asks him to fill out a form. Afterwards, Lena tells him that when an adventurer fulfills a request, he gets his commission, but the guild keeps 10% of it. Hearing this, LaSalle asks, if an adventurer fails to fulfill the request, what will happen to him? Lena replies that she will have to pay the penalty fee if she fails. LaSalle's rank is the lowest right now, that is, rank H. LaSalle then asks, will there be any healing jobs in the guild? Because he wants to spend his money on training. He also says that if someone in the guild teaches him martial arts, it will be pleasant to sleep. Then Lena calls a dangerous-looking man. LaSalle introduces himself to her and asks if he will train her in exchange for her healing help. The man asks, why does a healer have to learn to fight? Learning healing magic alone won't do any good in a real fight, explains LaSalle. At any time, even a weak monster can take my life, so I have to learn martial arts so that I can protect myself. Hearing this, the man agrees to train and gives his name as Broad, who is also the guild's chief instructor. That night, LaSalle sits in meditation and thinks of increasing his magic. Monica then brings food for him. LaSalle tells him that he is going to go for training soon, so he has to make himself better first. Monica tells him, if you reach level 5 within 5 years, you will be considered very talented, and if you get it, I'll go on a date with you. Hearing this, LaSalle becomes red with shame. After this, LaSalle works hard for a week. He then says thanks and goodbye to Crow and heads to the Adventure Guild for his training. When he arrives at the guild, there is another girl at the counter. LaSalle explains that he has come to train with Broad, and then the girl tells him to go down. As he walks down the stairs, LaSalle sees a large open area. That's when Broad says hello to him and tells him that today only the two of them will train in the entire area. Training begins and LaSalle has to run around the whole territory. Broad tells him to keep running non-stop. After a while, LaSalle falls unconscious, exhausted. Broad then tells him to stretch, and LaSalle's screams of pain echo throughout the guild. Then Broad asks him to attack, but he gets frustrated seeing LaSalle's kick. Even after all this, LaSalle does not give up and constantly tries to attack Broad. His body is completely exhausted, and he is in pain. LaSalle thinks of using healing magic, but Broad stops him, saying that he should let his natural healing develop. During this time, many injured adventurers come there, and LaSalle begins to heal them, which surprises everyone. Broad then says, if you really want to train, you should stay here in the guild. LaSalle is not convinced, but Broad explains to him that it is beneficial for the guild. LaSalle accepts the proposal, but asks for a month's time to decide whether he will stay there or not. In the next scene, when LaSalle comes out of the bath, his old clothes smell bad. Just then, Lena comes there and thanks LaSalle for healing all the adventures, and she offers to clean her clothes, but LaSalle says that such a beautiful girl should not do such a thing. Lena takes the clothes and says that she should not worry about it. He thanks her. After that, he goes to the guild where everyone is eating. Broad then feeds LaSalle a sumptuous meal, which LaSalle is delighted to see, and all the food that is kept there tastes like pork. After eating, Broad shows LaSalle his room and asks him to stay there, and then at night, LaSalle does not sleep, and when he wakes up and sees the time, it is already 7 o'clock. So he thinks of practicing magic, and at last, he falls asleep. The next morning, Broad introduces him to Gulgar, the guild's chef. Gulgar gives him a strange drink, which tastes very bad. Gulgar explains that it will help in his training, but its taste is so tasteless that no one has drank it to date. LaSalle dares to drink it, seeing which everyone is very surprised, and then his whole body is filled with energy. In this way, a week of training passes. LaSalle loses to Broad many times, but still doesn't give up, and he gets up again. And the process goes on and on. Then one day, a girl comes there for healing, who is bitten by a monster. Lassell tries to heal him, but he thinks that the disease may spread in his body. As soon as Lassell heals her, the girl starts crying. Seeing this, he was shocked. Just then, a boy says that Lassell is a flame healer who is healing the beast Fox. Lassell says that he considers everyone equal. Hearing this, the girl jumps on him and hugs him, and this scene is cut. In the next scene, Lassell has to drink the same drink again, after which he is returning to his room. But then he notices that everyone in the entire guild is looking at him. The next day, when he reveals this to Broad and Gull, they both turn away, to which Lassell understands and says that both of them are definitely behind this. Then Broad explains that everyone thinks Lassell will run away from here because a lot of people who want to be adventurers don't have money. Therefore, they do dangerous missions at the cost of their lives, after which they have to go on the same dangerous mission again, even after getting injured. Hearing this, Lassell understands that as long as he is here, they can all be healed without money. Now the weight of the entire guild is on his shoulders, after which he says that he is not going to run away from here, so no one needs to keep an eye on him. Further, in the same way, Lassell works hard in daily training, due to which more and more people start coming to heal themselves. 1 month's time has gone by. After this, Broad and Lassell sit together and talk about what to do next. Just then, Broad gives Lassell a bag full of silver coins and says that it is his reward for healing and taking care of everyone for a month. Seeing this, Lassell refuses to take so much money, but on Broad's insistence, he accepts. At the same time, he decides to stay here and continue training. The next day, Broad gives Lassell a book on healing magic so that he can learn more new magic. Seeing this, Lassell says thanks to Broad and promises to work hard in the same way in the future. A few days later, Broad suddenly tells Lassell that he is going to give him a day's rest. Lassell gets worried after hearing this because he had nothing to do for the whole day. Broad then tells him that he can help Butcher cut down the monsters if he wants to. Hearing this, Lassell goes to meet Butcher. The butcher there, whose name was Laba, welcomes him, but on seeing him, Lassell finds him very familiar. He then finds out that Laba is actually Gulgar's elder brother. Laba then takes out a very large monster from his bag, after which he begins to cut its body into pieces with his knife. It was very strange to see this. Lassell then asks if there is a daily consumption of so much meat in the guild, to which Laba explains that this is not the case. They also sell their meat to other guilds. Laba further says that Broad would have sent Lassell here so that he could learn about the monsters and identify their weakness and attack them. Laba also reveals that since Lassell has arrived, his adventurer's chances of survival have greatly increased as he heals and saves them. As he says this, Laba takes out a rabbit from his bag and asks Lassell to bite it. At first, Lassell catches the knife, but from the inside, he was very nervous. Next, he somehow cuts her, but it seemed very strange to him. In the next scene, Lassell was washing his clothes and regretting how he could kill the animals and eat their meat. Just then, the nun Lena comes there, who on seeing her says that her condition is not looking good. Lassell says that yes, he has experienced something like this for the first time. Nun Lena holds his hand and says that she does not need to think much about it because it happens to everyone, and after a while, everything is fine. She helps him to stay with her. The next day, Lassell is going to Broad after training, but suddenly he is caught by Nun Lena and 2 girls, and they say that they are going to give him knowledge. The 3 of them then take Lassell inside a library where a lot of different kinds of books are kept. They then ask Lassell what he would like to learn about. At this, Lassell first asks the nun to read Lena's books, to which the other 2 girls leave. After this, the nun Lena starts teaching her, which makes her realize that slavery is only banned in her country in this world, and people in other countries still keep slaves. The class of Nun Lena goes on, and Lassell starts doing other work along with all the training every day. 6 months have gone by. After 6 months, we see that now Lassell's body has become much better than before, so that his old clothes did not fit him at all. Seeing this, the nun takes him to buy clothes. While returning from shopping, he suddenly hears the scream of a girl, on hearing which Lassell runs to that side, and he sees that a girl there, which is Monica, she was lying unconscious. They take Monica with them. When Monica regains consciousness, Lassell tells her that she was lying injured at a place and was also affected by the poison. Then the nun Lena says that someone must have tried to kill Monica by giving money. Hearing this, Lassell says that he does not think that anyone can have so much wasteful money. But then Monica herself says that it will be the work of healers. A few days ago, a friend of his went to a healing clinic for healing, but because he did not have money, they made him a slave and sold him to another country. Hearing this, I get very angry. Monica then says that she had raised her voice against it in public. Perhaps that is why she has this condition. He thinks that behind this is a healer named Batka, who operates the most valuable healers clinic here. On hearing this, Lassell asks Nan Lena if Monica can stay here for a few days, to which Nan Lena replies in the affirmative. In the next scene, Lassell is sitting outside thinking that as long as he has powers, he will try to save someone. But then Monica comes and thanks him for saving her life and asks him how much money he will have to give to Lassell to save his life. Hearing this, Lassell says that he had also helped her a lot earlier, so she should not give a single penny. Hearing this, tears come to Monica's eyes, and she starts saying thank you again and again. A month later, the man who attacked Monica was caught, after which she left the Adventurers Guild. But then 2 months later, suddenly one day, Broad comes in and says that some adventurers are on the verge of dying, so Lassell has to help them. As soon as Lassell reaches there, he sees that many people are lying injured, so he starts healing them with all his strength. This destroys his magic power, and he was about to faint, but Broad catches him and gives him the magic potion. After this, Lassell starts healing almost everyone one by one, but himself also faints. When he opens his eyes, he realizes that there were others out there who lost their lives, so he decides to work harder. Then a whole year passes in the next scene, with which his training also ends now. He further thanks Broad for training him for a year. After Broad asks him about his future plans, Lassell says he will collect referrals for a healing clinic, collect money to buy a spelling tome, and he will also heal for less money. Similarly, one day he will open such a healing clinic in which everyone will be able to get treatment for less money. Having said this, Lassell joins hands with Broad and sets out on his next journey. Lassell then arrives in front of the Healers Guild, where he sees Karau sleeping inside, so Lassell gives him a voice. Karau then asks him the reason for coming here, to which Lassell says that he has come to renew his card. Hearing this, Karau takes her card and goes inside to renew it. But after a while, she suddenly panics and asks Lassell what kind of training he has done for so many days. At this, Lassell tells him everything one by one and says that his purpose is to be able to protect himself. Hearing this, Karau tells her that she can do her rank C, which will give her a chance to learn new magic. But for this, she will have to give 90 silver coins. Hearing this, Lassell's dream breaks, so he thinks of collecting money by doing some work for the time being. Then from behind, Broad brings a bag full of silver coins and puts it in front of Karau and says that he wants to transfer Lassell to the Adventurers Guild for a year. In return, he is also ready to give a gold coin. On hearing this, Lassell also smiles and gets ready to go back to the Adventurers Guild. Then, at night, he returns to the guild, where everyone welcomes him with applause. Gulgar catches him again with the same dirty drink and tells him that the party will not start until he drinks it. Hearing this, Lassell gives a long, wide lecture holding the drink, after which he starts the party by drinking the drink. While Lassell is eating, some of his friends come and ask him if he likes any girl. On this, Lassell says that there is nothing like that, just he does not get time for all this. At the same time, Monica also comes from behind, where Lassell asks him if he is happy here. At this, Monica smiles and says that she is very happy here ever since Lassell saved her life. Hearing this, Lassell's face turns red with shame. Then in the next scene, we see that a few days later, when Lassell is training, suddenly a man comes in looking for Lassell. Lassell sees him and asks his identity, to which the man says that he is the head of the biggest clinic in this country and his name is Botali. On hearing this, Lassell understands that he was the one who attacked Monica. Before Lassell can say anything, Botley orders him to leave the Adventurers Guild and work with him, but he flatly refuses. So Botley says that since LaSalle started saving everyone's lives, there have been very few customers in his clinic. Who wants to go to a clinic with such a bad reputation? LaSalle further asks him what magic he uses when a patient comes to him. On this, Botley says that he uses a magic called High Heal, which is a very high level of magic, in return for which he takes 30 gold coins. On hearing this, LaSalle gets very angry and says that this magic has been given to everyone by God, so it should be used to help people, not to rob them. Botley then orders his soldiers to kill LaSalle, but Broad arrives and threatens them. Further, Broad tells LaSalle that from now on he will train not like a healer, but like a knight, which now means he will have to work twice as hard as before. The next day, Broad gives LaSalle a sword and a shield and asks him to fight him. At the same time, Broad decides to make him his student from now on. Their training will continue. On the other hand, Botley gets a report that LaSalle takes only 1 silver coin to heal someone. Hearing this, he gets very angry, so he writes a letter to LaSalle and sends him to the Healers Guild to send him somewhere else. A full 6 months pass in this way, and LaSalle is still eating inside the Adventurers Guild, like every day. Then Gulgar comes and tells him that looking at his body, no one can guess that he is a healer, because it is not common for healers to train. Upon hearing this, Gulgar and Broad start talking to each other about how LaSalle has now become much stronger than before. Just then, the nun Lena comes there and tells LaSalle that a letter has come for her. LaSalle sees that the letter came from Holy Church, the headquarters of all the guilds. In the letter, it was written that LaSalle has been called to work at the Holy Guild headquarters because he has a lot of talent. Therefore, it has to be transferred within 6 months. Hearing this, Broad understands that this conspiracy will be of Botak. He must have found out that LaSalle lives with the Adventure Guild, so he's plotted to send him to headquarters. Then Broad says that there are still 6 months left for him, so during this time, LaSalle has to train with all his heart, which LaSalle also fills up. The same night, Broad and Gulgar were sitting and talking, where Gulgar asks Broad how he is looking younger than before. To this, Broad says that this is the result of training with LaSalle. That's when Gulgar says that Broad used to be of S rank earlier and would have reached the SS rank if he had retired a year later. Just then, Galba also arrives there and tells that as they had suspected, Botak's hand is behind everything. At the same time, we learn that Galva used to be an enchanter. 6 months pass, and now LaSalle had become an A-rank healer. After this, he goes to the Grave Order with Broad and says that he has been training to become a healer for 2 years now, and in the meantime, he has saved many lives. But there are others whom he fails to save, so he tells Broad that he should train new adventurers so that they can avoid getting injured, and, in his absence, avoid greedy people like Botak. At this, Broad accepts his point and walks away. Just then, Monica and Nanella come out, who were secretly listening to them. LaSalle is a little surprised to see them and then bows his head and says thank you to both of them. They both then ask LaSalle to raise his head and speak that if ever he needs their help, they will support him without hesitation. LaSalle is very happy to hear this and tells that he is going to leave here tomorrow morning, so if there is ever a chance again, the 3 of them will eat together. The next day, LaSalle leaves for Holy City and thanks everyone one last time. On this, Broad puts his hand on his shoulder and says that he has helped everyone here a lot, and because of him many people are alive, so they will also never forget him. On hearing this, LaSalle starts crying, and Broad gives him a magical bag, saying that it is a gift from him. He can keep any 10 things in it. Also, there is money in it, seeing which LaSalle starts crying again. After this, when LaSalle leaves from there, he reaches near his ride and sees that his friends are sitting there, who are about to travel with him. And so begins his next journey. Next, LaSalle reaches the Holy City, where his friends ask what he is going to do here now. At this, LaSalle says that his Substance X is finished, so first he will go to the Adventure Guild and collect it. By the way, Substance X is the name of the same bad drink that LaSalle drinks every day. After this, a friend of LaSalle, whose name is Bejan, goes to the Adventure Guild with LaSalle. There, Bejan meets a girl named Milty. Then Bejan asks Milty to call his master. At this, Milty goes inside and calls the master. Next, Bejan introduces Lassel to the master. As Lassel says that he is a healer, everyone there is shocked. Only then does the master realize that Lassel is Broad's student, after which Lassel gives him the order for Substance X. Now everyone is surprised to hear this because they thought that the smell of this drink is used to drive away monsters. After this, the master brings him a drink, which Lassel drinks very easily. At the same time, he orders a lot of drinks to take with him. Next, Lassel takes all the drinks and reaches in front of the headquarters of the Healers Guild, which is very big. Lassel thanks his friends and bids them farewell. Inside the Healers Guild, he finds two girls at the counter, to whom Lassel tells that he is a healer and has been transferred here. Just then, a man comes from behind and says that his name is Grainheart, and he is a priest here. Telling this, he asks Lassel to follow him and takes him inside through a magic elevator. Lumina appears in front of Lassel inside, after which Lassel thanks her for helping him that day. To this, Lumina says that she has to talk to Lassel about something important, so she asks him to come to her room later and leaves from there. After this, Grainheart takes Lassel to a room and says that according to the letter he received, Lassel is causing losses in the healer's business, so he wants to know the whole thing. Hearing this, Lassel tells the whole thing to Grainheart, how many people were losing their lives due to expensive medical fees. So now, he started treating people for less money, due to which the rest of the healers had to suffer huge losses. Next, Grainheart gives Lassel a paper telling him that from now on, Lassel will be doing spiritual curing work in a church. Hearing this, Lassel does not understand anything, but further tells Grainheart that he will get 20 gold coins in a month. He is shocked to hear that. After this, Lassel comes to Lumina's room. When Lumina asks Lassel to tell her story, Lumina asks him what he is going to do next. In response, Lassel explains that he is now going to go to a place and exorcise the undead. That's when Lumina says that the place is going to be very dangerous for her, because the old founders were buried under that building, and many years ago, that place became like a labyrinth. Hearing this, Lassel says that if there is such a thing, it means there will be many monsters there. Lumina is impressed and tells her to take care that no monster comes out of there. At the same time, Lassel can keep everything he gets from that place. Lassel gets very happy to know this, and this scene gets cut here. The next day, Lassel visits Grainheart at his new job, where he finds another boy named Jord, who worked there before Lassel. Grainheart then gives Lassel a robe to wear as well as a card to let him go anywhere inside the building. But before giving the card, Grainheart asks him to promise that he will not bring any outsider inside the headquarters with this card, to which Lassel agrees. Just then, a light comes out of that card, and the Grainheart says that now its promise is signed. If he breaks his promise, he will never be able to use any card again, and he will get a very severe punishment. Jord then takes Lassel and goes inside the labyrinth. After a while, they see a zombie, to which Jord speaks just to see Lassel and uses one of his spells to purify and eliminate the zombie. Jord leaves after doing this, after which Lassel has to go ahead alone. When Lassel moves on, he doesn't see a single zombie, which makes him a little careless. But then suddenly a lot of zombies appear in front of him, seeing which Lassel panics and uses the Purifera spell on them, and all the zombies become ashes there. Seeing this, Lassel thinks that he can do his training by killing zombies in this place and also earn money. But then his magic power runs out and he can't spell, so he starts fighting with his sword. Then as soon as he attacks a zombie with his sword, the zombie dies there. In this way, Lassel clears the first level there and reaches the second level, which he finds very easy. After clearing the second level, Lassel reaches the third level, where he sees skeletons. He also defeats them by using Purifera on them. Then when Lassel comes out of the place, he is very happy with the training and smiles at Jord. Jord then tells him that he can earn points by exchanging all the magic stones he has collected here. He can use these points to buy anything from inside the shop. There were also many weapons, magic and items, spellbooks inside the shop. Just then, a girl came out of the shop whose name was Katlia. Katlia asks Lassel to give her all the collected magic stones. Lassel gives him all the stones. Catalia says that she has 4,000 points by combining all the stones. Earning so many points in a day is a big thing. Lasal then asks to buy a spell book, and Catalia explains that the most expensive book is worth 1 million points, which Lasal is shocked to hear. Then Lasal asks the price of the weapons. Then he finds out that a weapon is only 2,500 points. It is so cheap because no healer knows how to use weapons. Hearing this, Lasal buys a sword and spear, which he gets for 4,000 points. Next, he is laughing and going back to his room. On the way, he finds Grainheart, who starts asking him a lot of questions about today's work, to which Lasal tells him that he did not have much trouble. Hearing this, Grainheart breathes a sigh of relief and gives Lasal a long, wide lecture to take care of himself. He then gives Lasal another robe and says that he must wear it to be recognized while inside the headquarters. The next day, Lasal puts on his robe and enters the labyrinth again. This time, he has to face monsters holding weapons. Today, he had also collected 5,000 points. The next day, he reaches level 6 of the labyrinth and is very happy to think that if he continues like this, he will very soon clear this place completely. Then he finds some more monsters, which he easily kills, but then his foot gets caught in a trap, from which he narrowly escapes. He is then attacked from behind by an entire army of zombies, whom he defeats using purification magic. In this way, Lasal reaches level 10 in 10 days there, where he eliminates 20-30 zombies with just one spell. After going a little further, he sees a mysterious gate, seeing which Lasal thinks that it can be the boss room, but he decides not to go inside it right now. Then the next day Lasal decides to go inside the gate, but drinks his Substance X before leaving. Further as he goes inside the room, it is dark everywhere, and that is when the door behind him closes. Suddenly he sees a swarm of monsters consisting of more than 100 monsters, which start moving towards Lasal. But Lasal is not afraid and tries to purify them by staying calm. But as usual, his luck turns his red again and his spells do not work there. So he starts running away after saving his backyard from those monsters. Just then, a monster attacks him from behind and injures him. Lasal thinks that the reason he did not train so much for a year is that he ran away in fear. So now he is ready to attack them with his sword and finally defeat all the monsters. And while Lasal is breathing a sigh of relief, another large and dangerous monster arrives, which looked like a ghost. Lasal throws his spear at him, but he dodges it. Lasal then attacks with the arrow, but the monster escapes them as well. Lasal thinks that he will attack the monster only when it attacks him. Then he attacks at the right time, but it does not affect the monster much. He then attacks with both the spear and the sword simultaneously, causing the monster's head to detach from the torso, and Lasal wins. After this, Lasal was going to collect all the magic stones and leave from there. But then another secret path opens behind him, but Lasal decides to go here later. When he tells Cattle all about what happened to him, Cattley suddenly becomes very angry and scolds him, saying that he should not have put his life at stake. After this, she converts Lasal's magic stones into points, which is a total of 1,00,000 points, which Lasal is surprised to see. Lasal then removes the robe the monster was wearing from his bag, which shocks Catella and Lasal. She puts it inside the bag and tells him to follow her. Saying this, she takes Lasal to the head of the church and tells him about Lasal, saying that Lasal is the new exorcist here. And from the first day, his performance was very amazing, and today he even defeated the most powerful monster of level 10. Hearing this, the head of the church asks Lasal to show her newly brought things. Then when she sees the monster's things, she says that these are very precious and special items, so she wants to buy the items from Lasal. Hearing this, Lasal puts his mind to it and says that he has no problem in selling things, but he has a request that he needs a magic bag that has a little more capacity. To this, Head says that if that's all she needs, she will give her a magic sack instead of a magic bag in which she can keep as much stuff as a room, after which Lasal and Cattle leave. In the next scene, Lasal is sitting and counting the mistakes made in the previous fight and thinks that if it continues like this, he will have a lot of trouble in the future. Just then, a sound starts coming from his stomach, so he goes to eat. On the way, he meets Lumina, who is accompanied by 2 other girls who were members of his regiment. Lumina calls him to have breakfast with them, and Lasal agrees. Further, when they come to know that LaSalle has come by fighting in the 10th level, everyone is shocked to hear this. They scold him saying, what does he want to die? It was just his lock, otherwise he would have died there. And he didn't care about his own life. Hearing this, LaSalle says that if possible, he wants to train somewhere. To this, Lumina says that she can help him, but it can be very difficult for a healer. He immediately says yes. The next day, LaSalle is back inside the labyrinth to complete his task and does not face much trouble at the 11th level. He easily reaches the 12th level. After returning, Kutlia gives him her magic bag, sent to her by the head of the church. When LaSalle catches him, Katlia asks him to do magic on that bag. After doing the magic, the color of that bag changes, and now that bag becomes completely his. At the same time, now LaSalle can put anything in the bag just by touching it, and can take it out of the bag just by thinking. So friends, our today's video ends here, but the story remains. See you in the next episode. And we've got new ones for you. Until then, bye, take care, and support my friend.